Hi, I'm Angus Kress Gillespie, your host for East Brunswick Television. I'm here today with Lyndon Achee, a professional percussionist. By way of background, it was way back in the fall of 1997, I had a week-long consulting assignment at the University of West Indies in Trinidad. While there, I became intrigued with the steel drums, also known as steel pans. Basically, these are percussion instruments made of steel drum containers. Recently, I had the good fortune to meet up with Lyndon Achee at a jazz concert at Hopewell Valley Vineyards in Pennington, New Jersey, where he was playing a Trinidadian steel drum. Lyndon was born and raised in Trinidad. He then moved to New York City in 1988, where he enrolled in the New School of Jazz and got his bachelor's degree in 1993. Later, he continued with the Master of Arts from the New School Graduate Studies in Performance and Composition. It's my pleasure to welcome him to our studio today. Lyndon, tell me, how did you first get interested in music in general and the steel pan in particular?
Okay, I have to give a lot of credit to my elder brother because I came from a musical family.
Okay.
And his name was Jerry Drums, great percussionist. He was the first to bring the instruments into the house, so I get exposed to it that way.
He was a role model. Yeah.
Very well said.
Yeah. And then how long have you been playing the steel pans?
I started at the age of 5 years old.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
I started making my own little drums, and as kids would do with the little milk tins, and then later on I went to the pan yards, and then I got involved with the bigger bands and started to learn how to play the regular size drums.
And tell a little bit about the influences in your music over the years.
Over the years, my influence has been an eclectic mix of the traditional music of Trinidad and Tobago,
which interests
calypso,
me.
Yeah, the calypso rhythms and percussive music, and some jazz influence since I went to college to study jazz music.
Yeah.
At the New School Jazz program in New York City. In addition to that, the Panyard would do traditional Western music, Baroque, classical music, so all of that influenced my musical palette, I would say.
Along the way, did you ever play other instruments?
Along the way, I started first with the drums, the hand drums.
Oh.
The skins, the drums that was banned.
Conventional drums.
Conventional drums that was banned from being used in Trinidad and Tobago, and then came the pans. So I started with the drums first, and then I went to the pans.
We touched on this a moment ago, but what genres of music work well with the steel pan?
The steel pan instrument can play many genres of music. It can play the traditional music you hear in calypso bands, calypso music, panyards. It can play traditional Western music because it's tuned to A440. So you get all the chromatic pitches for playing a simple Bach piece or a complicated Beethoven Ninth Symphony. It can play everything. My strength is being humble and using my skills that I've learned from some of my past teachers in the university and in the yards, in the pan yards, which is to focus on the song in all dimensions. Yeah. Not only on the melody, the harmony, the words, the lyrics of the song, everything like that.
Is there any room for improvement?
There's always room for improvement, for growth. Because the older you get, the wiser you get.
Yeah.
In my book.
Yeah,
I
agree. So, what are your favorite pieces to play?
My favorite pieces to play is the traditional West Caribbean music pieces. to name a piece that was written by the Lord Kitchener Pan in A minor, stuff like that, and Yellow Bird and Matilda, songs that the older folks would know that was handed down to the younger pan players.
And from what I know of your biography, you went to grammar school in Trinidad,
Correct,
right? And
correct.
it's an English-speaking country.
Right, right.
And you went to high school there.
Right.
And then at some point you decided to go to the United States.
Yes.
What was behind that move?
Okay, what happened was my brother and I was performing. We were competing in a national competition in Trinidad and Tobago.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, it was called Teen Talent. And in that program, we placed first in each division in the preliminary, semifinals, and we tied for first place in finals, playing Mozart Eine kleine Nacht music, Little Night music, and on a duet for pans, and we came first. And that gave us a trip to the U.S.
Oh, it was part of the competition.
As part of the competition, we went to Boston, we went to Connecticut, we went to New Jersey, Brooklyn, New York, and we were doing different performances in Philadelphia too as well, until we went back home, and we keep going back and forth until I went to university here.
Tell us about your university experience.
My university experience was very interesting. There was a gentleman by the name of Arnie Lawrence who was an interesting individual who saw my abilities. And another mentor of mine was Reggie Workman, who played with John Coltrane, jazz bassist, and he was my advisor. And he
What was the university?
the New School University.
Oh, okay.
Part of the Mannes College of Music.
In New York.
In New York City,
yeah. Wow. And then at some point you went on for the master's degree.
Correct, yes.
What led you to want to do that?
As you just said, is there room for improvement?
Ah, yeah.
For the reason of growth, musical growth, and for the reason of deepening my knowledge and understanding of the music.
And in playing this instrument, which I find kind of complicated,
Right.
What are the challenges, would you say?
The challenges is being accurate, being focused, being meditative, because you have to, in a way, meditate. Just like any musician playing an instrument, you got to be able to focus on the song and not lose concentration. Focus on the sections of the music.
And you're not exactly reading music. You have to play by the...
You reading the music. When you learn to understand music on the level that I have reached now in understanding the music. In the past, before I had the knowledge that I have now in going to the university, I only relied on my ears to learn the music. But now it's not an oral thing, it's a visual oral thing.
Yeah. But
As well as interior.
But you can't look at written music while you're actually playing.
You could.
Oh, you could.
Yeah, you
But
could.
you don't need to.
I don't need to. I learn the music, then I have it in my head, and I can look at it and I can play it and go back and forth from the sheet. So
Yeah. I'm always impressed because these little circles, they're not labeled. You have to memorize which circle represents which note.
That's right. It's sort of like the piano. And the lower section of the instrument is the naturals, and the upper left corner is the sharps.
Well, say that again.
The lower section, naturals, this half of the moon. Then this half of the moon is the flats and sharps.
Oh.
So it's sort of like the piano, instead of the piano being like this, the piano is like this, obliquely.
I didn't know. That's so interesting.
Yeah.
The regular keys are in the bottom.
White keys, and then black keys over here.
Ah, that makes sense. That makes sense.
And that's in this arrangement of the instrument, which is called the fourths and fifths, circular fourths and fifths.
Are there any special tricks to playing the steel drums?
Yeah, the special tricks is sticking techniques, because you can hit the instrument in a certain way and you would get nothing. That's a muted sound. Or if you do like this.
Oh, that's interesting. It's a certain technique.
A certain technique of how you strike the instrument would produce a beautiful song, or an overly large song, or just a beautiful ringing sound.
It's like a little crispy.
Right. The same way like a drummer or pianist would strike the piano like for staccato.
It has to be kind of firm.
Right.
Ah, how much time do you spend practicing?
I'm always practicing. I'm always thinking of a piece of music, and I'm thinking of how it looks on the instrument, how it's played on the instrument, and how it sounds on the instrument.
Is there a creative process involved with this?
Yes. Yeah,
Can you tell us more about that?
in the creative process, you're thinking about music. The same way a clarinetist would think of a piece of music before they perform it on stage. It would take time to create the music, learn the music, perform the music for themselves, listen back to the performance before they execute it on stage.
And along the way, have you composed your own music?
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about that.
Composing for the pans is similar to composing for any instrument. For example, I actually wrote a piece for alto saxophone from the pans. I compose a piece on the instrument and then I transcribe it and give it to a saxophonist to perform.
Huh. Did you do a duet with the saxophone?
No, it was solo
Okay.
piece for saxophone. So I do compose my own music. I do write my own music for the instrument.
And you play with a lot of different bands, I assume.
Yes. I've worked with one of my first experiences was with the Oliver Lake Steel Quartet with Oliver Lake and Verona Claff and Reggie Washington. And we did about 6 albums.
Wow.
Yeah.
Not to put you on the spot, who's your favorite collaborator nowadays?
Well, I'm working on some interesting collaborations. I'm working with the Tree Trini Collective, which is from Jesse Cox on percussion, Faye Victor on vocals, and pans. That's one group, Tree Trini Collective, and I'm also going to go to France to do a jazz festival with in Lyon, France, and in Paris with a group of septet. That's the Achee brothers, with my elder brother David and I, and some musicians from France that we're going to be performing in July this month. And then one of the other collaboration I'm going to be working on is going to be a piano duet with Cyrus Chestnut, a great piano player. We're going to work on some music for pans and piano. So it'd be like ivory and steel.
Well, as I mentioned in the introduction, I first came across your music at Hopewell Valley Vineyard.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about how you got involved with Sergio.
It's interesting. It's sort of like the old world passed down, was the right word, analogy. Because I was taking a moment to walk in my neighborhood, and I bumped into one of the musicians from the group wife, and she said she heard me practicing and she heard me playing the instrument. It sounded so beautiful, and she gave me an invitation to come and join with the band on every Sunday at the end of the month. And
was that Violetta?
No, this was with Carol.
Oh, okay.
Carol, George's wife, who helps with organizing the group and so forth.
And how often do you play with Hopewell Valley Vineyard?
I'm with the guys every Sunday at the end of the month.
The last Sunday of every month.
Every month, yeah. We have a nice ensemble that it's like a community band. I call it, where everybody can participate and contribute.
Looking ahead, what are your plans for the future in playing this kind of music?
My plans for the future is in many different sections or sectors, I would say. I am currently a director of the nonprofit group MuseArt, which is an organization that I've started that bring these instruments into the schools.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that helps create programs and so forth.
Are these schools in New York?
In New York, and we're hoping to branch out into New Jersey too as well.
Oh, well, you live in New York, am I right?
I'm in New York, and I am in Princeton too as well.
Oh.
2 places, yeah.
And so I guess there's no limit to the number of schools eventually you could get involved with.
Correct.
Yeah. I guess some schools are more receptive to the idea than others.
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course.
And you have to reach out to them. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
If you could open for any musician in the world, who would you like to open for?
Oh, it would be nice to open for Herbie Hancock
Why?
because his compositions are very interesting in the sense that it spans some long spectrums that it never seems to age. It's very foundational.
And where do you see the role of the steel drum in the broader musical landscape ahead?
Oh, I see it in many, many facets. I see it in the orchestra as part of the percussion ensemble, the same way we have marimbas, the same way we have xylophones, the same way we have vibraphones, the same way we have timpanis. I could see it in that facet, filling a role there to create rain, water effects in different ways. And I could see it in the jazz ensemble as the way I am pioneering it to go towards that angle. I can see it in the traditional steel quartet formation.
For a moment, let's go back to the early days in Trinidad.
Yeah.
How did this happen? Was it an accident? It was because I was, from what little I know,
Yeah.
there were these steel drums that contained contents like oil
Right.
and so this is kind of improvising. You change the commercial steel drum into a musical instrument. Tell us a little bit how that happened. What's the background?
The background is pretty interesting. It's related to the history of what I call in America we have Juneteenth,
Yeah.
and in Trinidad and Tobago we have the abolition of slavery. We have to talk about the first abolition day when the slaves took to the streets after celebrating freedom, that they were able to express themselves however they choose to express themselves. But the drums were still banned. They weren't able to use the drums. So they used tambour bamboo. They used anything they could find in the streets to make percussive joys of celebration. So these instruments came much later in the scheme of things after World War II, when the first Americans' base was situated in the Chagaramas, where they have the submarines would come in and they would have to refill with fuel. They left the first 55-gallon drums there, and that led to was these drums becoming the first instrument made out of the recycled waste that was being left there by the base.
That's interesting. So, relatively speaking, 1945,
Right.
that's as history goes, that's not that long ago.
Right, but this drum that we see today is not a drum that was from 1945. In 1910 and 1920 and all these ages, it was just two notes on a drum. It wasn't the chromatic instrument we see today. It's through evolution and through time that it became this instrument that we know today. And this is an extension of this evolution here. This is, as you asked me the question where I think it's going, I think we need more vocal voices within the instrument, more extended ranges. So this is why I came up with the idea to come with a bigger drum, to make a bigger pan, to give it more voice range.
Does the bigger drum have more volume?
It has more volume, it has more notes, it has more octaves.
Oh, of course. Because it's bigger, there's room for more notes.
Space, right.
And because it's bigger, it projects the sound more.
Correctly.
Something you said a moment ago struck me. I never really thought about it. Way, way back in time, there was slavery in Trinidad.
Correct.
Because, of course, when I visited in 1991, I wasn't even thinking of that. But,
Right.
But there must have been an explosion of musical instruments when freedom occurred.
That's right.
I never
Because
thought.
remember, during slavery, the drums was banned. So freedom of expression was controlled to a limit.
During slavery, the drums were banned.
Right.
Because the owners were afraid that this was a...
Communication. To this day, you can go to Accra, Ghana, And you can see they are pentamer drums, which you would use on stands to send messages that a tiger is coming. Get inside.
That's
The
so
communication.
interesting.
Yeah, it's a form of the first cell phone signals, Morse code.
Very
the drums.
interesting.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Do you see steel pans more and more in contemporary music?
Oh yeah. There are composers who are using the steel pan as their lead instrument, but in a classical sense.
So is it more traditional or more innovative these days?
I think it's taking different angles. It's not remaining as only traditional. It's taking more innovative approaches, and it's spreading itself into realms that we never thought it could go. So it's taken off into different directions beautifully.
Can you play with your hands, or do you always need to use these sticks?
You can play with your hands, but that's for a certain kind of modern effect. But if you want to play with your sticks, it's safer for your hands.
It's better for your hands.
It's better for your hands, yeah. Yeah. That's because you can strike a note.
Yeah.
You can strike a note and it will come out clearly.
Crisp,
and you don't need to apply too much force with the fingers.
Yeah, because this is a kind of a rubber tip, which gives more precise than a fleshy finger.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Lyndon, we've been talking a long time about traditions, and these are important traditional instruments, but I want to bring it up to the present day. How are these things manufactured? Tell us about how they're made.
How they're made. Before I say how they're made, I would say the tradition is being kept alive in making. Now in Trinidad and Tobago, they have pan tuners teaching in the schools how to make the instruments. So the high schoolers, students are learning the technology and how to sing the drum, how to shape the notes, how to groove the notes, and how to tune the pan. So the tradition is being kept alive and is being given the opportunity for the next generation to keep it going.
And how are they manufactured? How are they built?
How they're built. Okay, so first from the factory, you would see a straight regular drum. It would be straight across like this table.
Yeah.
And then it would have a concave sink. You would sink it down. Now, in the old days, we used to use a ball and a sledgehammer with a short handle to sink down the drum. But today, technology has moved forward. They're using what they call like little compressors, jackhammers.
And they're no longer made with discarded 55-gallon.
No, not only that. This one was made specifically for
purposely
made for a pan.
And is it steel?
It is purely steel, yeah.
And these round circles of steel that are
hammered,
are they made in Trinidad or are they imported from elsewhere?
No, all made in Trinidad. Now, it has advanced so far and it has come such a long distance. We had the great pan tuner who's no longer with us, Mr. Ellie Mannett, who was in Maryland, who was at Maryland University, taught other musicians how to make the instruments and how to tune them. So we have a whole next North American experience in making steel drums as well.
And they're made in Trinidad, not in Tobago.
Some are made in Tobago too. Yeah, really? We have Tobago bands, which is a nice contribution to the tradition. Because you have and I don't want to sound biased, but if you go back to Trinidad and Tobago and we look at where the most steel bands were once upon a time, in Trinidad and Tobago, it was in St. James, where I'm from. And most of the bands, you could go to every corner, you could find a steel band. You had Pan Am North Stars, you had Taspo, you had Tripoli, you had all the older bands you could think about. Invaders, you go a little further out. you know.
Yeah. I really should make a repeat visit because Tobago was not in my itinerary that went out back in '91. So tell us more specifically about these two.
These two is like specialized for soloing in ensembles and playing by yourself as a soloist, soloing only and playing within groups. It starts from F below middle C, and this one is like a regular D pan you would find in any traditional steel band, but this one is a whole other instrument of itself.
And how many octaves does this?
This one gives you 3.5, and this one gives you 2.5. So together I get like 4 octaves between both.
How many does a piano have?
8 octaves.
Oh boy. So if I wanted the full 8 octaves, how would I go about that?
Okay, we'd have to bring in the other sections of the steel band, which we call the basses. The bass bands from the bottom, which come with a bass, the lowest of the steel bands. And then we go to the tenor basses. And then from the tenor basses, we go to the cellos and the quadraphonics together. Then from the quadraphonics, we go into what we call the triple cellos, or the guitars, double guitars. And then we go into double seconds. Then we go into double tenors. And then we go into these, what we call the soprano, which is the soprano voice, the tenor.
So I was asking that in a theoretical way. You would need about 8, you said.
Oh, you would need the whole orchestra.
Yeah.
The whole steel orchestra to give you the full 8 octaves to cover that spectrum.
And how many drums would that be?
Oh, well, you got the basses comes in 6 and 12. And then you have the tenor basses that comes in 4 pieces. Then you have the quadraphonics that comes in 4 pieces. Then you have the triple cellos that comes in 3 pieces. Then you have the double guitars, which comes in 2 pieces. And then you have the double seconds, 2 pieces. Double tenors, 2 pieces to the single.
So I've been talking in a theoretical way. Has anybody actually put that together?
Oh, yes, it exists. Yeah, that's a full steel orchestra. Yeah, it does exist to this day. This is just a removed section from the whole ensemble.
And do we find that in Trinidad and the U.S.?
That's right. If you were to go on Google and you say, what does a steel band look like? It would pull up all the many different photographs and Wikipedia links as to what it looks like and what it sounds like.
So you would call it the full steel band?
Right. Okay. Exactly. The full steel orchestra or full steel band.
Well, Lyndon, I want to thank you for visiting East Brunswick Television this afternoon.
You.
And it's fascinating. We've learned so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.